Alright, everyone, welcome back to another episode of Garbage Sports Talk. But today, we are going to not be Garbage Sports Talk. I am going to officially change the name of my podcast to 31 Thoughts. The thought of this is being that there's around 31 teams in every professional sports league in North America, so it kind of rolls off the tongue better than Garbage Sports Talk. I think it's just going to be better. Now that I've gotten that out of the way, let's just get right into the podcast. So 31 Thoughts today, I'm going to do a segment called 3 words for each team. Just goes over each NHL team. They're doing NHL today, by the way. Going over each NHL team with 3 words or less. So here we go. Edmonton. McDavid is good. That's about all you can say about Edmonton so far. Draisaitl is not living up to his contract. Milan Lucic is too slow. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins does not score enough. And they're going to miss the playoffs again this year for sure. Bruins. Filthy Bergeron MVP. You can't deny that the Bruins are a solid team. And they always have been solid, no matter who they put in the lineup. Bergeron, though, has just been their leader, not their captain. Char's been their captain for a while, but Bergeron's been their MVP for sure for a very long time. Constant Selke nominee, should be constant MVP nominee, but I think this year he has a good chance at winning it. The Avalanche, promising, playoff bound. I think that the Avalanche are going to be a really fun team to watch this year. With McKinnon and Rantanen on the top line there, there are going to be a lot of points there. And with Barry on the back end and all their promising players, I don't know a lot about the Avalanche, but I know that they're going to be fun to watch. Buffalo, interesting, and Captain Jack. Jack Eichel just got named the captain of the Buffalo Sabres. I think we are all seeing that coming, as the Sabres don't really have a player that could be a captain besides Eichel. So I think that they could be an interesting team this year, though. They look like they're turning it around a little bit. Not playoffs this year or next year, I don't think. But they might make a run at it next year. I think that they are not going to make it this year, though. The Leafs. Overplayed/paid. TSN absolutely loves the Leafs. Now, mind you, TSN is based out of Toronto, and Toronto is the biggest sports market in Canada. But come on, TSN, we want to see something other than Austin Matthews' first 5 games and how many goals he scored. And also, I saw a thing where it was like, Morgan Riley has more points in his first 5 games this year than Bobby Orr did in his 1973-74 season. You're not honestly going to tell me that Morgan Riley is better than Bobby Orr. Don't even start with that. Come on now. And with the whole William Nylander thing, I think that's just ridiculous how Nylander is holding out on his contract like that. To think that he can get $8 million a year is just absolutely, it's ridiculous. It is ridiculous because Nylander's not that elite of a player. He put 61 points in the last 2 seasons. Like, that's not worth $8 million. You've got to be kidding me. And to think that for every game that he misses this year, he's giving up pretty much the average salary of a Canadian. That's maybe even more average salary. I don't know. I just know that it's a lot of money he's giving up every game to hold out for a contract that he's never going to get because his dad wants to coddle him at 22 years old. I think that Nylander, if he's not signed with the Leafs, he is not going to get touched by a 10-foot pole by other teams. Because if you really do say that you love the game and you want to be with the Leafs, sign a contract for like $6 million. $6 million. Like, if you go through this contract healthy and productive, you will get the $8 million probably. But just sign a contract for like $6 million. Yeah, $6 million is not a lot. I wouldn't go for $6 million. I want to go for $8 million. But, it's just not my place to say it, obviously, because I'm not as good as William Nylander. But I think that it is just a shit show on his part. Red Wings, Little Caesars Arena. That's about the only good thing I can think about for this team. This team has gone plummeting down in the past few years. They've gone from a a pretty much shoe-in playoff team to nothing. After they lost Datsuk and Zetterberg, they've pretty much gone down the drain. Columbus, please sign Panarin. Without Artemi Panarin, they are not even close to the team that they would be. They just signed Tortorella, so clearly he's doing something good. So if you can sign Tortorella, please sign Panarin. Florida, sell those tickets. They're not selling tickets down in Florida. They had 8,700 people show up to an NHL game. An NHL game, 8,700 people in Florida. One of the biggest states in the USA. That is embarrassing. Now, mind you, Florida's not really a hockey, state, so I don't know if it's time for a relocation or if it's just time to do some really nice promos for the team. Chicago, where's Scott Foster? As you may know, Scott Foster was the emergency backup goalie who faced 9 shots and stopped all 9 shots against the Jets last year. He was a 30-some-year-old accountant, and that's just about all the good things I can think about for Chicago right now. They're good. Their cornerstone players aren't getting any younger. Kane and Taves. Kane's production is not really falling off, but Taves is for sure. They just signed Chris Kunitz, who's 39, and a complete just waste of a roster spot right now. And I can't see Chicago even making the playoffs this year. Wild. You never know. With Minnesota, you really don't know what could happen. They could make the playoffs, or they could be the worst team in the league. Either their players show up, or they don't. That's pretty much all I can say about them. Los Angeles Kings, still the same. They're still pretty much the same team that they've been for the past 6 or 7 years. Tough, a lot of depth, a lot of defense. Anze Kopitar leading the way. Dustin Brown having mediocre years. He's on the IR, long-term IR now. So is Quick, so I don't see them being as good this year as they have been in previous years. But you never know. I could be wrong. They might make the playoffs this year. I'm not too sure. Montreal, forgetting about Max. Now that Max Pacioretty's gone, the drama is, well, I wouldn't say drama's never gone in Montreal. It's Montreal. But now that Max is gone and Shea Weber's the captain, they can now focus on their young players like Max Domi and Kostanemi or whatever his name is, and focus on getting old man Shea back on the ice. So that'll be interesting. Washington, can they return? The question for me is not can they repeat, is can they return after the massive, massive summer of partying that Washington had? Is it, in hindsight, a good guess that Washington will be in the playoffs this year? I'm not sure. They have come out of the gates like normal. With Washington, they're pretty much a playoff shoo-in. They just never had any good playoff success until last year, obviously, winning the Stanley Cup. But I'm not too sure that they'll be able to make the playoffs this year. I just think that they're too much. They're still in their hangover. So, yeah. New Jersey Devils. Now's the time. And that's exactly it. New Jersey is ripe for a playoff push. They made one last year. They lost in the first round to Tampa Bay, but Tampa Bay is a really good team, so you can't really blame them. Taylor Hall winning the Hart Trophy last year, that was impressive, really, really impressive. And players like, obviously, Heischer and Miles Wood coming through, Will Butcher, those are some players that really could push New Jersey over the edge and into a deep playoff run. Winnipeg, Stanley Cup Finals. If they don't make the Stanley Cup Finals this year, it won't be considered a very good year for Winnipeg. I think that if they don't make the playoffs, I mean the Cup Finals, it'll be a bust. Nashville, same old team. Nashville's the same old team as they have been for the last 3 or 4 years. Tough, lots of scoring, and lots of controversy. As we know, Ryan Johansson and PK Subban can really stir the pot sometimes. San Jose, Stanley Cup contenders. Now, after they traded for Karlsson, they now have the best defensive core in the league. And with Kane, Pavelski, and Couture up front, it would be very hard to see them not making the Stanley Cup Finals this year. New York Rangers, lost in sports. New York is full of sports right now, with the Jets having a decent year, the Giants having a dog shit year, and the Yankees making it to the ALDS, where they got stomped by Boston. So New York Rangers have they're just lost up in everything. New York is too big of a city for them to be even relevant. Vegas Golden Knights, good first year. They can build off their good first year, obviously, making it to the Cup Finals, losing to Washington in 5, with the signing of Paul Stastny, and the trade of Max Pacioretty. This is their time to really establish themselves as an actual franchise. If they don't make the playoffs this year, people will just write them off again. Well, not even again. They'll just continue to write them off because they wrote them off as lucky last year. Pittsburgh, just get in. With Pittsburgh, they're a playoff team. They're not a regular season team. Crosby, Malkin, and Kessel don't care about the regular season. They just care about getting into the playoffs. And once they get in the playoffs, they do their damage there, obviously. Calgary, time to rebound. After a terrible year last year, they brought in James Neal, who's a lock for 25, 30 goals, potential to have 40 goals in the season. Goudreau, he had a decent year last year. It's time for him to step it up a little bit, though. After trading Ferland to Carolina and getting back Noah Hannafin in return, I think that's going to be a good add to the defensive core after getting rid of Dougie Hamilton. He didn't really do much in his tenure with the Flames, but I think that letting go of Ferland was really... it was a questionable move after seeing Dubé getting lit up by Goodbranson of the Canucks and Hamonic having to step up for him and then fracturing his face. So it was definitely weird for them to get rid of their only tough guy. St. Louis, first round Blues. They can't get past the first round, it seems, and I don't think they ever will. I think they'll make the playoffs this year. And if they do, it might be a wild card. I don't think they'll win the division, and they'll lose in the first round. Vancouver on the rise. Now with Vancouver, they got a lot of promising rookies. I wouldn't say rookies, I guess. A lot of young players: Brock Besser, Bo Horvat, Elias Pedersen, Pedersen. I guess I don't know how to pronounce his name. I don't follow Vancouver. But Vancouver could be a very, very good team in the next 3 or 4 years. I am looking forward to seeing them play. Tampa Bay, remembering 2004 Cup. Well, with Tampa Bay, it's their team's just beaten up. I don't think that they'll be able to make a good playoff run this year. I think that they haven't done much to change the team, even though it's not working. And with Steve Eisman dropping out as GM, I just think that they'll just be reminiscing the 2004 Cup, and they'll be holding it over the Flames' head like, no instant replay, no goal review. Anyways, Carolina, Eastern Conference dark horse. I think that Carolina could make the playoffs this year. Again, with Ferland going to Carolina, they have a tough guy. Justin Falk on the back end, obviously. Dougie Hamilton, good chance to revive his career. I think that Carolina, and also Curtis McElhinney, off of waivers on the Leafs. Way to go, Leafs. You just dropped one of the best backup goalies in the league, if not starters, for a guy who has, 3-point-something goals against average and a save percentage below 900 in the NHL. It's ridiculous. Philadelphia, Gritty is ugly. Yup, their new mascot, Gritty, is the worst thing I've ever seen. I have nightmares about it most nights. Good time for Halloween for costumes to be made up. But Philadelphia's a good team. You know, they have playoff potential every year. Claude Giroux, he's coming back. He found a resurgence in his career. So it'll be interesting to see what they do this year. I'm not sure. I'm on the edge of whether they make the playoffs or not. New York Islanders, February the 28th. That's the first game that John Tavares comes back. Their beloved player left the team for Toronto, his childhood boy crush team, for I'd say a lot less, but for less than what he could have gotten on the island. So they will not be happy to see him in the opposing colors, I don't think. Ottawa, get through season. Gotta get through the season. and just try and fix whatever's wrong, because it seems that everything's wrong. First, they lose Carlson in a trade after he hadn't said he hadn't talked to management since about November. They really mishandled the Mark Stone contract. They put a veteran forward on waivers, Zach Smith, which the whole team was pissed. And it's gonna be interesting to see what they do the next 2 or 3 years to fix that. Dallas, Central Division jammed. It's going to be tough to see Dallas making their way to the playoffs, maybe a wild card, but with Nashville and Winnipeg in the Central, they pretty much have no hope in winning it. The Ducks, Perry Getzlaf, done. That's about all you can say about the Ducks. They don't have really any star players, and with Perry and Getzlaf getting to their mid to late 30s, it's going to be interesting to see what they do to rebuild the team and get them back into the form that they were 4 or 5 years ago. Arizona, relocate soon, please. Arizona is the sad sack team of the league. They have a good GM and he has a good thought process, but their team is terrible, and there's no denying that. And I think that we should relocate. Give Quebec a team. Come on. They built a stadium. They built, they want to give Seattle a team. No way. Seattle doesn't deserve a team. Give it to Quebec. That is my 3-word evaluation for each team here on the first ever official episode of 31 Thoughts. Thank you for joining me on this episode, and we will see you in the next one.